Writathoners, it's Sako Tumi, also known as Cass Voit, and tonight we have a special for you. We are part of the World Writeathon, and we are going to talk to you about marketing for authors. I hope you brought a notebook because we're going to have a lot of information coming at you real fast. So we're going to go around and introduce everybody. We'll start with BC Brown.
Wow, my little writing weirdos. How is everybody tonight? Welcome to this spoopy, spectacular Marketing for Authors Worldwide Write-a-thon event. I'm so excited for tonight. We've got a ton of great information between Sako, myself, Doll, Lisa. So many years of experience, so much marketing experience, so much, hey, we screwed that up, let's learn from it experience.
Yes.
So you all get
definitely
a benefit,
that.
you all get a benefit from our screw-ups.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Kibby. I appreciate it. I had to break out a costume. It's been 2 years since this cosplayer has gotten to do costumes. So.
Yeah.
Love it. I love that
so
your
good.
hair matches the rest of your costume.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's
It's so good.
When people are like, "Are you going to do some sort of a costume?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can very easily do the lion. It'll be fine."
It'll be fine. Yeah.
It's very nice. Love it.
Oh my gosh, BC, the costume is so good. Lisa, you look fabulous too.
Thank you.
Doll.
Hello there, humans. Yeah, you can hear me, right? Yeah. Hello there, humans. I am Cecil Runo. I am a blind storyteller for introspective readers. I write mostly sci-fi, and that's why tonight I am a Jedi, made a force with everyone. And I had to do the space costume somehow, but I don't like showing my face, so that's what you get.
It is so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm returning to YouTube. Actually, I made a video for people who are participating in NaNoWriMo. I made a video that could help you save a little bit of time with your social media.
Adding that video. I'll be adding that video to the description as well.
I just plugged it because hey, it has something to do with our current discussion.
It
because
sure
social
does.
media is part of marketing. So I'm excited for tonight.
Yes.
Yay.
And the fantabulous Lisa Daly.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be with you ladies talking marketing, which is one of my favorite things. If you don't know me, hi, Lisa Daly, traditionally published author. And over on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. So I am really excited about this. Also, if you guys don't know this, I was director of marketing for a mid-sized publisher. So I have lots and lots of marketing experience. So I'm super excited about that.
I'm super psyched to hear it all. It's going to be wonderful. Also, do show off your beautiful makeup.
Yes. Oh, okay. So let me just show you guys, if you can see here, my daughter did spider web eyeliner for me. So you can see I look pretty. I'm very witchy tonight,
I love it.
Which is good.
Which is awesome.
Witches are awesome. That's right.
Awesome.
It's an honor of you. See my
okay.
witch
Before we get rolling with the chat, I do have a couple of moderators who are present. I can't count on you, moderators, to help me with the questions that might come up in the chat. Tag me in a thing and let me know when a question deserves answering. I'm gonna take a quick glance at the chat real quick. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Natalie. Hello, Kibby. Hello, Devin. Mother Nature is being mean to Kibby right now. We've got so much good advice today coming from 4 different directions. It's going to be super awesome. I feel honored to be among these women.
Aww.
Also, can we get a roar?
Rawr.
Yes.
Love it.
Love it. Hi, Barrett. Hi, Mick Ghost. Hi, Eva. all the stuff. Can't even wait. All right. Hi, Annalisa. You're new to my channel, Annalise, and we're so happy to see you. We're so excited for this chat. And
Just
I
Eva
am
has
gonna-
some good advice there for the chat to help
Oh,
the mods and
please
help us.
add a cue to
Mhm.
your questions so that our mods can actually snag it for me. That would be like super convenient.
Yes, that would be.
Hi, Raphael. Reminder to read the comments aloud for those who can't see them, to read as fast as they scroll. I'm definitely gonna try.
We'll try to tag team and.
We'll try our best.
Okay.
There's a-
Lisa to cackle.
Devin, I followed it up with once a snort to cackle.
Yeah.
Oh, snort cackle. Well, you have to say something funny, Devin. You know the
You have to
rules.
say
Yeah.
something.
You know the
funny.
rules,
Actually-
darling.
Actually, the one with the witch cackle is me, but not tonight. Tonight I'm a Jedi. I'm professional tonight. I'm
You're professional
I'm
Jedi.
trying.
Well, Devin is always over on my stream trying to make me snort laugh. That's like what we know, it's a stream that's official once Devin has made me snort laugh. So I'm sure a snort cackle is in the works for tonight.
Yeah, I'm
Bring
sure.
your best, Devin. I'm ready for you.
I'm sure it is gonna be a thing. Okay, so are we ready to get to it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All
Mhm.
right. So welcome to our talk on marketing, featuring myself, who is a graphic designer of like 20 years. And also that means I've been in IT, I've been in marketing, I've been in advertising, and been able to actually apply my marketing expertise to current projects and past projects. BC Brown Books, who I am writing a book with and shall be releasing in December. And Cecil Runo, who is our Instagram expert. And Lisa Daly, who has like, a bazillion years of marketing expertise as well. So
A bazillion years.
A bazillion. I don't
a
look
baz-
over a bazillion, a half a bazillion, but yes.
Susan, you
bazillion
look
years.
good.
a half of a bazillion.
Just a half a bazillion. That's
Okay. All right. I do, again, recommend taking notes. We're going to cover a lot of ground real fast. We only have 2 hours. So here we go. Getting started. So we're going to cover 4 questions, basically, that you should ask yourself when putting together your marketing plan. So first off, we're going to figure out what it is that you want. Like, how much money do you want to earn? How many new readers do you want? Questions like that. Second, we're going to ask, who are you selling to? That means, like, what's your genre? Who's your ideal customer? Where do they work? What kind of families do they have, et cetera, et cetera. Third, we have platform and connections. This means social media and people who can help. That means people like your street team, like your marketing agent, et cetera, et cetera. And then 4 is branding and collateral. I could go on and on about branding,
You and
but
me
I'm gonna
both.
try my best to keep it concise and and not do another 2 hours concerning branding and collateral. So branding and collateral is exactly how the world perceives you. What do you want people to think when they see your brand? All right. So first off, let's talk about, what are your goals? What do you want? My advice is to make it finite and specific. You can't just say get new readers. Like, be specific. Like, how many new readers? How do you define success? My bar was pretty low when it came to Hope's Chest. So I would consider Hope's Chest a success. I was pretty happy with that.
It's a success. I like this book.
Mhm.
Well, there you go. I think that the best types of goals are SMART goals, which are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time bound. So you're not just going to say, I want to sell 10,000 books. You're going to say, I want to sell 10,000 books by next year, or on January 31st, or I want to have my website completely finished by the end of this year, or I want to do this or this. So SMART and goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree. And I wanted to piggyback off of that just a little bit. It's fine to set annual goals and things of that nature, but you want to be able to break those down into smaller chunks, because the year gets away from you really quickly, especially when you're marketing, doing your admin work, working on your branding, and working on your new book.
Right.
So that's a lot.
Which are all full-time jobs. Like all of them are full-time jobs. So parsing apart your time is prioritizing is so important when you are counting the minutes in your day.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. How much do you want to earn? Do you want to cover your expenses? Do you want to just break even? Do you want to make 50K? Is money not the object? Money was not the object for my book. It would have been nice, but that was not the object. The object was to get new readers, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
when you're oh, go ahead. I was just going to say your marketing behavior is something that is tied to your specific goal. You're going to have different behaviors. You're going to have different objectives. You're going to do different things if your goal is merely to get new readers, which is an admirable goal, because when you acquire those new readers, those folks are going to come back again, and again for your subsequent titles. But your behavior and your marketing plans are going to be a lot different if your goal is to get as many readers as possible versus to make a certain financial goal.
Right.
Yeah, and what Lisa says there is very true. So when I came out with the first book in the Metaphysical Chronicles series, I had just done a rebrand. So I understood that while I might have had the readers initially and the fan base, I was going to have to, I wasn't going to be able to transition all of the monetary gains from my first book into that second book, because I had set myself back slightly with a rebrand. It was necessary to do, so I had to be very realistic in the goals for that second book and lower my bar. Knowing that I could achieve a certain amount of readers, I could achieve a certain amount of monetary based on the validity of my writing and the strength of my writing, but without the fan base there, knowing who I was and the name awareness, it became a bit of an issue. So I actually had to reel everything back quite a bit, and I had to drop the entire monetary aspect of it and just get myself back up to the name recognition that I had previously.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that, I mean, for a lot of authors, especially series authors, this is why a lot of authors will use a free, perma-free first in series or lower cost first in series, or using your first in series as a newsletter magnet, that they want to get those readers into their sort of marketing funnel, or into their sort of universe, their little fan universe. And they know that if they get those readers in on the first book, that they'll have 80% sell through to the second book, and then 90% sell through to the third book. And so they know that just getting readers to read that first book, if you have like a 6-book series, is worth, I don't know, $17 or something. And so it's worth it to use that first book as sort of a loss leader which is what which is an old advertising term for we're going to put cookies on sale for 99 cents so you'll come do your shopping with us, kind of a thing.
Yeah, we'll
right.
take a loss. We'll take an initial loss in order to leverage the gains later.
Right. And that's a really effective strategy. A lot of people, I mean, and certainly there are a lot of people who would argue both sides of that. One is you don't want to train your readers that they're going to get free stuff. And on the other hand, if you get them hooked on the free stuff, like a drug dealer, then they'll come back later for the stuff that isn't free.
The first one's free.
That's
One's
right.
free.
The first
That's
one's
right.
always free. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Second, who are you selling to? So
Oh, I love this question.
I know, right? It is wise to not just say, well, everybody is welcome to read my book. Not everybody is your target audience, right?
Right.
If people were to find your book, where would they find them? Like what keywords, what genre, what category are you gonna be found in?
Right.
Yeah.
This
And
also
this is-
includes where are you going to put it, like social media? Because like if your audience is young, then you go to certain platforms instead of other platforms. Otherwise, you're going to get overwhelmed trying to go
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah, agreed. And a lot of it hinges off of doing your market research prior to actually putting your book out, or even establishing your marketing plan for the book, because you have to know how to establish, and like Doll was saying, you have to know where to establish in
Right.
order to pivot your marketing goals towards the individual research that you've done for the market. So for instance, the Metaphysical Chronicles series is a paranormal mystery, urban fantasy series, which tends to have the paranormal mysteries series tends to have a slightly older demographic, but I was wanting to bring it back and scale it back into the more urban fantasy, which is a slightly younger demographic. So I had to find a marketing platform and do a lot of very specific research and really drill down to know which platforms were best for me to leverage and which were best, which ones I could kind of ignore because I wasn't going to hit the audiences that I needed to hit.
Right.
Please.
Oh, I was going to say, so whenever I start a book project, I always create an avatar of my ideal reader. And so, which is basically just a character, except she's my reader. And so I think about how old is she? What kind of a job does she have? Where does she hang out? What does she like to do on the weekends besides read my books? Does she have a cat? Is she married? Does she do weird stuff on the weekends? I mean, that kind of, but I really think about this ideal reader as a character so that while I'm thinking about her, I can think about what is it that she does? Where would I find her? Where would she hang out online? What else does she read? If she loves this, if she loves my book, what are her other favorite books? And so just sort of crystallizing that person instead of approaching this from like a demographics, like, oh, my ideal reader is a woman between 25 and 45 who, you know what I mean? Like who earns this much money. If you think about this person and the great thing is if you already have a fan base, you can sort of think about like the like the one super fan, like super, super, super fan that you have, and kind of think about like, what would Mary want? What would Mary want to see here? Where would Mary hang out? Where does Mary find out about other books? And for me, that really helps crystallize my marketing, to think about one person instead of thinking about a crowd.
Me too.
And I do much of the same thing. I try to pluck an example, a character out of each demographic group that is a super fan, and look at them and go, okay, so if I'm targeting for women between the ages of 35 and 45 that are housewives, I have this super fan that already meets that demographic for me.
Right.
Where do I engage with her? How does she reach out to me?
Right.
Where did I meet her? All sorts of things like that you can take into consideration. It's a lot of moving parts, but it actually is very intuitive if you are engaging with the people who are reading your things. And if you're not yet to the point where you have fans or have super fans, it's perfectly fine to kind of poll your fellow writers. That's why a lot of us are here, is to kind of help out and say, well, my fans for that particular type of thing that you're writing, that I also happen to have written, I found them here. Maybe try here first. Dip your toes in, see what it gets you. Like, toss the net.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, BC Brun had an excellent answer to the question about which platforms we think are best for specific age groups. I think generalizing the types of social media and the types of communities, younger readers are going to be found on places like TikTok and Instagram stories and stuff like that. Older are going to be more inclined to write, so we're looking at Facebook, we're looking at people who write in comments on YouTube,
Reddit, stuff like that. Now Reddit can be a really broad audience. It just depends, because they have to be kind of really technically savvy, used to like drilling down for information, which is where you're going to get you're going to get your slightly nerdier type of, but really engaged.
That's true.
That's true. Really, really engaged. So there's that. But as I was saying in the answer to that is, platforms fluctuate so much. And it's hard to say necessarily that if you're gauging for a specific demographic that you want to hit, like if you're gauging for an older demographic that you want to skew towards Facebook over Instagram.
Right.
Yes and no. They have moments, and this is where making sure that you're really checking your analytics, and that you're really actually seeing who actually engages with you on those platforms. Again, this goes back to, how do they reach you? How do they get a hold of you? Because people will, if they are really inclined to reaching out to you and getting your stuff and seeing what you're interested in as a writer because they like you, and let's face it, it's going to boil down to, they liked your writing, that hooked them, and then you are going to be the thing that keeps them.
Right.
So just kind of making sure that you follow up with your analytics, and that you're following your analytics, and that can fluctuate a lot. So you have to be flexible.
And I think we're gonna talk more about kind of that bubble last in our talk today.
You know me, I'm always jumping ahead of the thing.
Yeah.
I do think one of the platforms that we need to make sure that we discuss is Goodreads, because whatever your age group is, there are massive fan bases for your type of work on Goodreads. And those people are readers, and not only that, they're heavy readers. They like to talk about books. They spread that all over the place. And so for me, if you're going to do only one platform, I would do Goodreads, just because it's so rich with readers, and they're so easy to find.
My only issue with Goodreads is that it does not have a dark mode, and it's not very blind friendly. So that's why I'm like, well,
yeah.
But I mean, if you look deeper on each platform, I failed at TikTok miserably, but and also I don't write YA, so TikTok was definitely not a place for me to go. But I tried it. We gotta try everything and see where your readers at actually. And I found out, no, this place is not for me. And also consumes a lot of my time that I should be spending on my books. And no, but then I realized Bookstagram has a variety of readers in many genres that I enjoy, many books that I enjoy, and I was like, I should do this more. And so that's why I pivoted.
Yeah, I think
from
that's really
say
smart.
AuthorTube that is very YA driven, and to that's why I pivoted a little bit, because I don't write YA, I don't do fantasy, but I like some literary fiction that I enjoy reading. Maybe I can connect with these people and blah blah blah. So it's like a little bit of experimentation with everything you do with your marketing. I'm the newest in this panel. I'm the newest in marketing, and I screwed up big time with a lot of things.
No,
what
you didn't
else-
screw up, doll. You learned.
I learned.
learned.
Yeah, especially this year.
I
learned a lot.
I spent the first 3 years of my publishing journey totally screwing everything up. I didn't know how to brand. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to establish a platform. I didn't know how to research my own publisher. It was a really good learning experience, and it was learning under fire, under pressure, and it's helped me navigate a lot of like areas for other writers who are thinking, I might want to do this avenue. I was like, I've been down that road. You don't want to go down there. It's full of potholes, kind of a thing. So these are good experiences to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you're not, this is what I always tell my kids. If you are not failing sometimes, you are not trying hard enough, because, right, there is so much that we learn from what seems like a failure, but is really just a lesson on, okay, it doesn't work this way, or it doesn't work this way this time. But I think
through obstacles that we gain wisdom, right?
So think of it this way. And this is the way my mom always explained failure to me, which, it must just be a mom thing, Lisa, because she said something very similar. And it was, if you are not failing occasionally, then you're not getting out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And if you're not getting out of your comfort zone, then you're not really experiencing anything new. And let's face it, we are writers. We're supposed to be out of our comfort zone all the time. Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to present the world. And if we're in a comfort zone, that means we're only presenting a particular part of the world. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think Barrett has a great question about what do you think most authors get wrong about their marketing plans. For me, I think that a lot of authors try to do too many things and end up doing nothing well. They're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit, like, instead of really just picking like 5 priorities or 3 priorities and really committing to them and doing a spectacular job with those couple of things, they try to do 18 things because they've been told they have to, and that's wrong. You really don't have to do everything. And so they feel like, I have to be on Instagram, and I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do a giveaway and a newsletter, and da 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 da. Except for the newsletter, you do have to do that, but everything else is not mandatory. And so that's the issue that I see the most with authors, that they try to execute a marketing plan that has too many things in it. They can't do it all, and so they end up kind of half-assing a bunch of different things when they could kill it if they focused on 3 things or 5 things, something like that.
And
So
I get into that in
deep.
branding. I
Right.
get into that in the branding section of this as well. Just, you don't have to do everything.
No.
yeah, you don't have to do everything and be everywhere. Like Lisa was saying, there are only a couple of things that you have to do as a writer if you're wanting to market your work, and it is have a marketing plan. It can be a small one. It doesn't have to, like Lisa was saying, you could just be, you're focusing on one thing and one thing only until you've got it. Your marketing journey as a writer is the same as your writing journey. It is at your pace.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
go on.
Go ahead. No, doll. Go ahead.
I was gonna say your writing journey, like if you have to remember that you're a writer first, because I know that a lot of marketing advice floating around for free on like social media, YouTube, blogs, a lot of the marketing advice floating around is that not geared towards authors.
Right.
It's maybe geared towards musicians, content brands, and they tell you have to go to several platforms and see where you can find your no. Your readers don't expect you to be on Twitter all day every day, and on TikTok and on Instagram, and on, because you know what's going to happen, depending on your audience, of course, but at least for me, I write for adults. At some point, some people are going to start wondering, why is she on social media every day since she's supposed to be writing?
Yeah.
So take that in mind. You are a writer, not a content creator.
Yeah, that's true. Annalise said something I think was really cool. She said, "I'm such a chicken about starting a newsletter." Lots of people are. Lots of people are chickens about starting a newsletter. But I will tell you, if you do nothing else branding wise, I think you should start a newsletter.
Yes.
Because you will have those contacts that you can reach over and over and over again. You're not dependent on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any other platform, which for all we know, could just blow up or decide not to be cool anymore tomorrow. But those newsletter subscribers, you always have.
Or disappear from the web.
Mm-hmm. And you can reach them regularly. You can build a relationship with them. And so when it comes time for you to sell your next book, you push that magical button and they know who you are and they are excited to hear from you and they run right out and buy your book. So newsletter, if you do nothing else, newsletter.
I do have to say, if you are interested, Barrett and others, if you are interested in learning more about newsletters and how to make them work for you, Lisa has a bunch of videos on the topic that are excellent at explaining everything that has to do with newsletters.
Thank you.
I use Lisa's videos for newsletters because newsletters is the one area where, as a writer and for my own marketing, I fail at repeatedly. I trip over myself. I do great for a while, then I stop doing it. Then I do great for a while, stop using it. But Lisa's videos have really helped me, so go check them out.
Yay!
Thank you.
Barrett also. We're running over time, but I will come back to the questions after our next section.
That was a good question.
It was a good question, and we have some really great questions coming up too. Platform and connections.
Thank you, Eva.
Social media all have differences.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, like, what does your network look like? Like, who are the types of people? Like, you should get to know your printer, you should get to know your publisher, you should get to know your editors, your betas, all the people who are connected to your business. And as an author, as soon as you sell a book, you become a business. What does that look like to you? Do it because you want to. Just as Dahl was saying, like, you don't have to be everywhere. Just hang out with the people that you like. Find the places where you like to hang out, and people will find you. Like,
yeah. There is a really interesting method for any of you who've read the Writer You Need to Quit series by Becca San. She has a really fantastic sort of concept when it comes to social media, which is do not spend time doing social media that you hate. Pick one that you like and outpost everything else. Meaning, if you don't like to be on Twitter and Facebook and all of that, but you do love to be on Instagram because you read Doll's new book and it's awesome, you can just say on your Twitter profile, you know, hey, this is my profile, but I'm active over on Instagram. Follow me here. And so you have, like, you want to post on Twitter one day, great, but that nobody expects you to post over there, and they know all the action is over on Instagram or whatever the platform is of your choice. And when I first heard this advice, I thought, oh my God, this woman is a genius, and she is. But I also thought, like, I also felt such a sense of relief because there are a number of platforms that I personally do not enjoy, and Facebook is one of them. And literally, the only reason that I do anything on Facebook is because of the AuthorTube crowd, because that is how we all communicate. But it was like, oh, such a revelation. Like, oh my God, I don't have to be on Twitter, and I can be somewhere else. I can be on YouTube, which I really love. So yeah, so that is something to think about.
Yeah, it's the same as you wouldn't write. You don't write the things that you don't love to write, that don't interest you. So why be on the platforms that don't interest you and you get nothing out of them? Right. Because in the end, it's going to feel really hollow, any engagement that you do have on those platforms, because you're just not interested in being there.
Right.
You have to also take into account your skills. Like if you're good with video, if you enjoy making videos, then YouTube and TikTok and all the other video oriented apps, even the reels on Instagram, can benefit you. But if you are like me, who doesn't like showing face, who doesn't like all those visual things very much, I mean, I'm still on Instagram because I see that my audience is there, but I am on Instagram because I can write long form captions, and that's why I enjoy it. I enjoy writing things that could help other people. I do the carousel things, I do the text and stories. I am a lot less video and more like, okay, words. And my people are readers. It's okay. So you have to focus on your skills. You hear me talking here now, but I prefer to write instead of, say, opening a podcast, because people suggest me, hey, try a podcast. And I'm like, I'm already doing so many things. I'm a writer, not a content creator. So so I have become really, I don't want to sound harsh, because that's, please don't misunderstand me that way. But it's like you have to prioritize where your skills at. And if you feel more comfortable being a reads, go to Reddit, go to, well, Instagram if you can handle that. I mean, but TikTok was a failure for me because you cannot write any captions. The comments are restricted to very short character limits. I was like, no, this is definitely no, I'm out. And I left, and I don't feel bad about it. So remember that. Remember which are your favorite things to do and go there.
And Google is your friend in this regard, like finding communities and finding social media that actually do the things that you are good at. Like if you are good at blogging, there are various blogging platforms that you can use. If you are good at, like Doll said, you are good at video, there are various social media that you can go to where that'll utilize that skill set. And I'll probably talk a little more about the concept of delegating when we get to branding and collateral. But again, you don't have to do everything. Like, and Savvy is an excellent example of delegating particular people to take care of social media, take care of, one person takes care of YouTube, one person takes care of Facebook, one person takes care of Instagram.
Right. And do we feel like she's everywhere all the time?
We feel like she's everywhere all the time, but
they're just extensions of her.
Right.
Exactly.
She's set up and established how she wants things handled and interacted with.
Right.
And people do it. And the people that she puts in charge of it, responsible of it, do it. And it's great.
It is. She does a nice job because she's pretty consistent throughout all of her different platforms as far as her brand. And so, yeah, I think she does a really nice job.
Now,
I do want to.
not everyone can delegate. Not everyone
No.
has the means, the financial means to
Right.
delegate. So if you cannot, like I'm not in a position to delegate anything to anyone. But what you can do for us, the broke for the broke people over here, people who are just starting, people who haven't get the financial ROI yet, for us, what you can do to keep a consistent pace on social media, the ones that you will focus on, if you have the option to schedule ahead of time and separate a day for your content and content creation, then that's what my video is about. For people who are doing NaNoWriMo, for example, NaNoWriMo is demanding as hell, and it's
Right.
going to be a challenge just to keep up with the word count. Now imagine if you also keep up with your social media. No, use a piece of your prepped over, make content, put it up with scheduling apps. There are free options, more in my video. You can even schedule tweets. Like I didn't talk about that in the video, but even Twitter has a scheduling option that it's free, that it's on the Twitter website. You do it through your desktop or laptop, and you schedule ahead of time, and you don't even have to be there, but your audience will see your content, and you can separate 5 minutes of the day if you want to engage with your audience. You don't have to be all day, all the time on social media. You're focusing on your books.
And it's perfectly fine to cycle through. Like, I will spend 1 week really heavy on Twitter. I will spend the next week really heavy on Instagram. The next week after that on TikTok.
Absolutely, me
It
too.
is perfectly fine to cycle through, because what you're doing is you're just kind of going in, even if it's a platform that you don't love. Like, I don't love Facebook. I think that's a pretty common thing that's said often by people lately. But I don't love Facebook, but I will spend 3 days out of a week going and just collecting everything that I might have missed and catching up. And being like, hey, so sorry I was out of touch. If you want to get a hold of me faster,
You can
the
get a hold
best
of me
ways to
at
do it are XYZ.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will always check this platform because I have it.
I will confess that I have abandoned Facebook for months and months and months at a time. I once logged onto Facebook, and somebody had, and usually like members of the media don't contact me through Facebook, but for whatever reason, a journalist at a fairly big outlet had sent me a message to ask me if I would appear on this show. And I got it like 4 months later. And I was, oh, I'm so sorry. I never checked Facebook. So, yeah. So there was that. Anyway. But for some people, it's like a daily thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think M. Ward asked such a good question. I did want to say something about platform, because we didn't really talk about that. For anybody who is not familiar with that term, a platform, at least where publishers are concerned, is your ability to sell books without the assistance of the publisher. So if you're a speaker and you are in front of big audience, a couple thousand people every other day, that's a platform. If you're on a television show every week, or you have a big podcast or YouTube channel, that's a platform. If you have an email list that's got 25,000 subscribers on it, that's a platform. So it's your ability to reach your readers directly to sell them books. And that's that's what we're talking about when we're talking about platform.
Absolutely. I've gotten completely lost in the comments.
I know. I'm doing my best to kind of answer like in text and in the chat, like as something runs across. But I'm so far behind.
I know. I think M. Ward asked a good question about how do you feel about authors or publishers having promoted or purchased reviews or accolades or nominations, like the New York Times bestsellers list or the Pulitzer. So obviously you can't buy your way on the New York Times list in the sense that you can't write them a check and get on. But what you can do, what people, there have been all sorts of ways that people have sort of gamed the list over the years. And one of them has been with pre-orders. That's happened a number of times where somebody gets a genius idea to call every bookstore in town and order a case of whatever. And you always get caught, right? But at the time, you hit the list and then and you have to have like a spare, I don't know, 60 grand sitting around where you can order all these books. But and it hurts the bookstores because they've ordered and then they have to send them back if you don't take them. But you know, people do it. I think it's crappy. I think that I think it's bad. I think it's bad karma and will come back to get you. And the thing is, especially now, on social media, like those bad acts are discovered and spread all over the internet
like a virus.
You do not want to be doing things in a way that's shady.
We are not going to mention names. However,
I will mention a name. I will mention a name, but in a good light, because Michelle Schusterman just made a video about shady things that happen in the kid-lit publishing world, and I'm like, Michelle. If it wasn't for Michelle, I wouldn't even know about that drama that just happened with kid-lit publishing and renowned authors that did something really shady. If you want to see that hot soup of drama, just go for Michelle Schusterman's channel. I'm not gonna go into that because it's off topic, but yes, it spreads like wildfire. You want to keep away from those things.
Back in the day, you could be shady and get away with it and not have the karmatic like retribution. But let's face it, this is not back in the day, and everybody is connected, and there are no secrets. They will be uncovered. But yes, I'm glad that you highlighted even Eva's Maggie question there. Since we are on platforms and stuff like that, spending money on bundles for ads like Facebook, Goodreads, companies that spam out ads on multiple platforms, they can be beneficial. It depends on your budget. It depends on your goals. It also, again, goes back to your research on and your analytics and being very, very careful with it. You know, I'm not going to lie. Full disclosure, I used to do advertising on platforms, on social media platforms for
I tried it too, and
well, and the thing is, some people do not have that skill. I could not do I know there's a whole thing. You can take classes. There are books on it. I look at that stuff, and you should know I'm an award-winning copywriter, and I look at that Facebook ad stuff and I go, it's not for me. So in that case, if I'm going to run Facebook ads, which I think the last time I did was for my debut novel, so a long time ago, right? and they did terribly, which is why I wouldn't do it myself. But if I wanted to do it, and there are a lot of authors, especially indie authors, that have great success with Facebook ads. If this is not your skill set, I think it's perfectly fine to hire it out.
I've done Instagram ads, and let me tell you, they don't do it for me. And it was again experimenting, but no. What I could advise for people who might be more attention grabbing in that sense, if you ever are going to make an ad, you have to make an ad about something that's like really eye catching, and it is part of your marketing plan. So you don't just take a post that you made, whatever rando post, and make an ad for it. Don't. You have to make a post intentionally with the mindset that this is going to be an ad. Who am I going to grab with this ad? Hopefully, and how much I'm going to invest. You have to make a plan. Don't just boost a post because Facebook told you to boost a post. It's not going to work.
Right.
Exactly. Eva. There has to be purpose behind it.
Snort and a little snort. Sorry, go ahead.
Got a little snort.
Yep, we got a snort and a cackle. That's
right.
No, I
Love
was
it.
just going to say there has to be purpose behind it. And
Right.
again, you have to take into consideration what you can afford, if you can
Mhm.
afford to do it, and what you're getting out of it. Does it meet your goals?
More
And
money does not mean more engagement.
yeah,
No. And
it
there are
doesn't.
a lot of I'm sorry, you go
No.
ahead, BC.
Oh, I was just going to say it doesn't mean more success. It doesn't mean more engagement.
Right.
It might mean you're in front of a few more people, but
Right.
that isn't enough. That it just
Well,
isn't.
and there are a lot of authors right now who feel like publishing has become a lot more pay to play, that if you're going to stand out on Amazon, you need to be running sponsored ads. And if you are, if you're going to sell more books, you need to run Facebook ads, and you need to do this. And there are a lot of big authors who are making a lot of money, and a big chunk of that money is going right back into ad spends. The problem is that you're like, how much bigger can you get with that and do you really want to spend $10,000 or $15,000 a month on advertising just to, sort of keep feeding the machine? So, for me, if you have to spend that much on ads that you like just to sustain your readership, then there's some other sort of fundamental thing in your marketing that's not working, because at some point your business should become more, your fan base should become more self-sustaining. So, I know there are a lot of authors who are doing that, and I think they feel like they're successful with that, but I also know a lot of authors that spend almost everything they're making on advertising, and at the end of the day they're not really, they're doing all this work, they're like on a hamster wheel, and they're not really progressing their book sales, because you take away the ads and they're sort of flatlined.
Mhm.
And that's not a position you want to be in.
I have a theory on people who boost their marketing plan just with ads instead of a self-sustaining audience, and it is, you are not telling your story enough. Who are you? Why do you write? Why do you write this specific thing? What inspires you? What other TV shows or books or movies or whatever connect with your audience in a way that inspires them to keep up with you? If you're not telling your story, why are you even on social media? It's like, okay, it's like people on Instagram who just post a cover of their book, like, my book is coming out on the 23rd of October, check it out. And I'm like, can you please add
Yeah, why should I?
Right. Exactly.
What does it solve for me?
at
What does
least
it do
write
for
me the blurb in the caption?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
the
me
cover,
about it.
You got it, doll.
the cover is not enough.
You got it, doll.
I mean, it is just the way it is. And people just put, like, I it hurts me to see. I'm not dropping names because I'm not here to bully anybody, but I have seen it. People in my niches, because I have more than one. I do sci-fi, but I do other things as well. And people are like, I have a new post. Oh, here, my book, and buy my book. It's like just a book cover and nothing else. And I'm like, the caption is like a one sentence caption, a bunch of hashtags. I'm like, this is not how you do Instagram, y'all. This is not how you do it. It's you need to do something more. You need to put a little bit of yourself out there, a little bit. I mean, and I'm not talking showing your face, because you know me, I don't do that. So what I mean is, share a little bit about your story, your book's story, your characters, your inspirations, your story time. I have I'm not going to go into details, but I have a quite sad story time that I have shared a couple times that has to do with a celebrity death that somehow is very connected to my book in a way that I never expected. And I share it sometimes because, hey, this can happen to a lot of people, actually. And it's something I can share because it was like the anniversary of the person's pass away. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm still feeling it. It's been 4 years and I'm still feeling it. Things like that. You don't know how you're going to connect with your people until you try. Posting just about your book all the time, like a salesy post, is not going to cut it. Making a live stream. Oh, I'm bringing this up because I heard someone ask that question in a group about, like, if I do a live stream for my book launch, is that going to be effective? I'm like, If you're just going to do a lounge stream on its own and you're not going to do anything else around it, that's not going to cut it. Because if you don't have a following on your channel yet, not going to work. Try to bring in co-hosts, try to promote the event itself, try to make it a thing, make a hot thing about it, make us care, and then it could work. Because live streams like this are exciting, yes, and you get a connection with the person, yes. But if you just do a live stream like, hey, I'm launching my book here, live stream, and I'm like, no. Everybody does a live stream these days. Everyone has a YouTube channel these days. You have to make us care. And we can only achieve that through storytelling.
Absolutely.
And that's what we are.
And
we're writers.
we're writers. And it also has to do with branding, right? So I think that's a great segue into our last section, is branding and collateral. I have 2 points. Only get what you need and don't do it all. There's a lot that goes into just making a basic branding package, just making like the lowest bar. There's a lot that goes into it, and God forbid you go beyond the lowest bar, right? So
so I want to add to that. So what Sako was saying about develop at least a basic branding package. That's very, very important because you need consistency. You need consistency because the first time we hear or see something, it's probably not going to stick unless it is so explosively like mind-blowing that people aren't going to forget it, kind of a thing. But let's face it, most of us are not able to do a handstand and read from a book on a table at a convention like I did to make people remember me. And so, stuff like that. It's just, you have to make sure, but you also have to make sure that you're presenting yourself in the light that you want to present yourself in. Back to me doing everything wrong in the book of How to Be an Author when I first published was I was trying to present what I thought people wanted me to be as a writer. This polished, professional, boy, that's really not me kind of presentation. Hi, Mr. Sako!
The elusive Mr. Sako.
Yes,
The elusive Mr. Sako.
I've seen like 12 pictures of him
In his
total,
natural environment.
And
In his
him
natural
in the background a
environment.
couple times,
Yeah.
and that's about it. Yes, very, very.
I'm sorry, my username is the Great Greckler.
The Great Greckler. Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, so it's making sure that with your branding, you're coming off as being very authentic, and that you at least have an idea. You have to do a little bit of soul searching, and figure out how to make that work for you, and to do
A lot of soul searching, I should say.
Yeah, a lot of soul searching sometimes, but also just making sure that you're consistent with it and being out there with it. And it doesn't have to be anything that's mega. You don't have to have a huge, like a logo to start with, but you do have to have a name that people can catch on and can remember. And that needs to be consistent across everywhere you can possibly make it consistent. It helps if you can add, sorry, hold on, doll. It helps if you can
go
add
ahead.
things to associate just as a remembrance thing. A catchphrase or a color that's associated with you. These are little memory tricks.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. You have to be consistent with your visual branding. I learned it the hard way because me blind. Hi. But another thing that I want to add.
Oh no!
People confuse that your brand is a logo and
No, please.
No, you're
Please
good.
continue.
Keep going. It's catching up.
Okay. So people confuse brand with a logo or color scheme or a genre even.
Those are
no,
aspects.
it's not.
Those
Your
are
brand
parts.
aspects of your at your brand. It's aspects, pieces of the puzzle, but that is not your brand. Like why, for example, so when it comes to soul searching, why do I use aurora borealis? Like, why do I use northern lights for everything I do? Why? Because I write in different genres, but it seems to be a thing that in stories that are longer than 1,000 words, so larger than flash fiction, there will always be like a northern lights cameo somewhere, and it's like a thing that I do. There's a symbolism associated with it, and that's why I use that symbolism all over
Yeah.
after I started all my branding projects, all my YouTube channel and Instagram and all that. But I figured it out eventually. But you have to do some soul searching to understand the symbolism behind your brand, so it feels authentic to you. And it's not just because you're writing thrillers or mysteries, you're going to use knives and blood, and because it's a no. That visual cliches, so to speak, those visuals apply to book cover design, not to your general brand. So you have to be yourself when it comes to, all that you're going to do on your platforms.
I know what Sako's gonna say.
Oh, do you? You want to go first, Sako?
I was going to say the branding for your books, and that has its own brand, right? And the branding for yourself are two separate things.
Yeah, it's nice if they can dovetail.
Yes, exactly.
But they
If they
don't.
can,
Yeah, but they don't necessarily have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and your branding for your books is going to be different per series or per book. I mean, you want to try to keep something that is consistent between each of them if you can, just so that it has that sense of familiarity and that sense of flow.
Yeah.
But you need to there are multiple moving components when you consider your brand, but for the most part your brand is you.
Right. Well, I think that was actually the point that I wanted to make, is that when you think about the things that are sort of essential to who you are, that can really help you with your branding. So if you look at my stuff across the board, my colors are blue and pink and a little accent of green, which you see in my office, you see in my logo, you see on my website, you see in my book covers, and it always sort of comes back. I write romantic comedies and nonfiction, and my rom-coms are always set at a beach location, usually Sarasota, which is where I live. My social media feeds are filled with palm trees and pictures of the ocean and the beach and the tiki heads and things that really speak to me, but also really speak to my audience. And so that sort of carrying your brand across a lot of different things is easier if it comes right from you. If you're not trying, as BC was talking about earlier, when you're trying to be something you're not really, it's going to be a lot harder to have a consistent brand. But if you're just owning up to who you really are, even if you are a kitschy beachside, souvenir shop, which is basically what I am in my heart and soul, then
right, souvenir shop, I love it.
That's me. and that is going right. You're going to feel that and see that everywhere, and readers will identify with that.
Readers will find you. Readers will connect to it. Like Lisa
What?
has a beautiful beach branding. It's I can tell she writes romance. I can tell it's going to be like a summer read kind of thing. It's beautiful. Even if it's not my genre, I appreciate and I admire what she's doing with her branding. It's really inspirational. In fact, Lisa was the one who inspired me to revamp everything and do it better. So, I started the whole soul searching thing about my writing in general. It doesn't have to be just sci-fi, but what is my writing? My writing style is very ethereal. It is.
It's very cerebral.
It is.
And ethereal and symbolic, and focusing on seeing the unseen and like all those things that have to do, like that's why aurora borealis, silhouettes, darker, colder colors, wintry. Lisa is the summer, I'm the winter. That's how it is.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
Lisa's summer,
right. You're
Fall is
Iceland,
winter.
I'm Florida.
Sako's very fall, and
I'm very
Yeah, the
autumn.
witch.
Yeah.
and she's very autumn. Me, I've got like a springy, like a spring thing going, and like a little bit of like you
Because all the
get
yellow.
sunshine and you get perky, but also it can be a little drab and odd and have like strange things going on. So yeah, it's being able to take just aspects of yourself and being able to embody those and show them.
And that is something that like Instagram writers struggle with. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
And as a matter
definitely.
of fact, I actually am going through a revising of my branding, which is something that I recommend people do, that writers do, that you evaluate.
I try to do it once a year.
Yeah, that you
Yep.
evaluate your
Same.
branding and where you're at in it once a year. Now, my branding for myself has been pretty consistent for a number of years. I mean, we're talking more than 5, and going back. But I realized, kind of something that I was kind of downplaying a whole aspect of my personality, and focusing too hard on just one aspect, and it was becoming laborious to do.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's it. I'm not being authentic again. And it wasn't that when I created my brand that I was pushing aside that thing. It's just people develop naturally,
Right,
and
we all
so
grow.
does your brand.
Right. Well,
So-
and you want to make it sort of big enough where you have room to grow.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
if you're, if you're thinking about kind of these, this sort of feel of your brand, your color scheme, those sort of things, you want to give yourself enough space to grow so that you don't have to completely do, a rash sort of do-over, that you can just sort of grow and shift a little in a different direction without needing to, to just totally start from scratch. That said, sometimes you're in the wrong place and you do need to start from scratch. But if you really think about it and you really, try to figure out, like, especially if you're, thinking about the different kind of books that you write, if you're, if you've got a couple of different genres, sometimes it can be a little hard to sort of figure out, like, well, who am I and how does that fit with my readers and what I'm writing, and how can I make all that stuff work together and communicate that across a variety of different platforms and in my work and on my website and in my colors and all those other things. So
Yeah, exactly. And Sam has a great point here. You don't need a logo.
No.
You do need recognizable images. And those are, how you yeah, she has a good example. Your author photo as all your icons everywhere should be relatively consistent. You should make sure that you're kind of presented in the same way, the same noticeable way, and things of that nature. There was Natalie actually had a good comment here later as far as the branding goes. You have to start your branding long before you start your books, and this is something that I preach and harp on with people. Making sure that you establish yourself with your brand long before you are ready to publish. And I'm not talking 6 months, long before you're ready to publish. I'm talking a year
Years.
or more before
Years.
you're ready, before you think you're going to have a book ready. Basically, when you start writing or thinking about writing, you should start brainstorming your branding and get it set. And that's the probably the one biggest tip for branding and being able to market yourself as a writer that I can suggest is figure out who you are as a writer before you write your book.
yes, that is excellent advice if you are a good person who's making like a 3-year plan. I will say, if you've already started, all is not. If you already started,
All
writing
is not
books,
lost.
all
Oh,
is
it's
Yeah.
not
not
lost. I'm sorry. I'm not
No,
like
yeah.
doom and
No,
glooming and naysaying.
No,
you know.
I know. If you are strategic and you go, okay, I would like to write a book in 3 years. I'm going to start my branding now. I'm going to, which is great advice. But a lot of times what happens is you write a book and then people tell you need a brand, or then you figure it out and you're like, oh, my book's not selling, or I can't, like, I'm having a hard time reaching these different people. And so you're kind of like, so it is okay. Yes, in an ideal world, you would sort of think about all that stuff ahead of time. But we don't live in an ideal world sometimes, and occasionally, 2020, I'm talking to you. And so if you've already started writing books and you're like, how can I, get all these cats in a cage? It's okay to start now. It's always okay to start wherever you are today, right this very minute, and move forward from there. That is my speech.
No, I agree, and yes, Lisa, you're very right. You
So
wanna
are
do
you,
as much,
though.
yeah, you want to do as much preparation as you reasonably can. But let's face it, we're always learning, and so there are going to be things that you just miss the boat on, and that's
Sure.
fine. And don't get down on yourself for it. Like I said, I spent 3 years, 4 years, probably even, of my writing career that was after having published a book, learning how to do all of this stuff, doing it wrong, and then going back and having to do it again.
Well,
So
yeah.
you can mess up, you can not plan,
Yeah.
you can catch up. It's fine. It's
You
great.
can always catch. That's right. You can always
You can
catch
always
up.
catch
You
up.
can always catch up. I know. I had, when I first started writing. My very first book was a nonfiction dating advice book, and I had just come from a career in advertising, and so I was very conscious of brand. And so I thought, okay, every time I do a television appearance, or every time I do, some sort of visual media, like if I have my picture taken for a magazine or something, every time I do that, I'm going to wear red, right? Because I'm writing dating advice, so I'm going to associate that with love. But you know what happened? I ended up getting, I did quite a lot of publicity, and I had a very large red wardrobe. But then I became the dating expert on a national show called Daytime, which I loved for 15 years. And after the first year of every week trying to figure out something red to wear that I had not already worn before, I just said, you know what, I'm just not doing this anymore. And so that is a really good example of, you need some room to grow, because I really didn't have, I had sort of created a very restrictive brand that would theoretically, if I could have pulled it off, I guess it would have been okay. But at some point I just got sick of wearing red. And so I thought, like, I need to get something that's more me than just this very sort of narrow lane that I'd initially put myself in.
I think
I have something to add about that too. When I started writing, when I started my YouTube channel, I was in a cool location and I was living, it wasn't a great life, but I liked my house and it had
that great window, right?
Yes, my great
that
window. But what happens when I move? Oops.
Right.
Don't make something physical too much a part of your general branding, because what happens when you don't have it anymore, or you have to change it, or you just get sick
Right.
of red?
Right.
You have to figure out something else.
Yeah, it's very much so. Hinging on an aspect of, I didn't realize, obviously not wearing them tonight because makeup, but I did not realize how identifiable my glasses are to people until, and this was a number of years ago. I had gotten a new pair of glasses and a new pair of frames, and really loved them and wore them out somewhere, and was literally at a convention that I had tabled at numerous times, multiple years, with all the same people seated around me, because we were seated very specifically by
right. You always
seniority.
get it next to the same people.
Yeah, I mean, it was as you were added, you got the same spot every year. And I had people coming up and asking me if I was new and if I had taken over BC's spot.
Oh no!
Oh, my God.
And I was like,
Ouch.
we have spoken over and over and over again, like for numerous years. I was like, you don't remember? I am BC. Do you not remember me? And they're like, where are your square black framed glasses? And I was like, that's what you remember about me? I was like, oh, I'm not doing something right here.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you remember about
I know,
me?
but that can be a thing. Do you guys remember? This is a very long time ago, but you might remember. There used to be a talk show host on television named Sally Jesse Raphael.
Yes, the
Glasses.
red
Right,
frame.
the
Those
red frame
glasses.
glasses. And she is a fairly nondescript woman, although she is an excellent interviewer.
Mhm.
In fact, I did my very first national interview. My very first national TV show was on her show 100 years ago. Anyway, she had those red glasses, and they were so distinctive because now it's a lot more popular to wear glasses in different colors. But at the time, people
It was
were more
unheard
like,
of.
right?
It was
People really
odd.
didn't. Yeah, and so she had these dramatic red glasses, and this little tiny woman with these giant red glasses, and you just knew her, and that was really a big part of her brand. So I could see how that would happen. Yeah, I wonder if I don't know that I would ever be associated with my reading glasses, because I don't need glasses for like regular everyday life. I only need them if I'm reading. And so I put them on my head. I lose them all over my house. So I literally have like 50 pairs of reading glasses. And so I always am wearing different ones. So you would know they were blue and that they were different than the ones I had on yesterday, or that I might have some on my head and on my face at the same time. I have done that. Yeah.
Just Eva is reminding us, of course, if we need to stretch, we need to hydrate, and if we need to stand up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very important.
Right.
Maggie has a
Thank you.
question. Maggie had a
Oh,
question about like
here we go.
one mistake and one tip, if we could give.
Yes.
Ooh.
I was actually getting ready to answer in the chat. That's what you guys heard me all clacking about. But
Clickety-clackety.
one mistake is not having a marketing plan, even if it's small and even if it's limited short-term goals. That's the one mistake that I would talk about most. The one tip that I learned was not bowing down before the expectations of others and trying something unusual that you think might be successful. Just trying it. Just give it a shot. You'd be surprised how many things are successful.
Yes.
Anybody else?
That's true. I have one. I've got one. I've got one of each. So one mistake is that you can let branding and marketing of your books take over your time in such a way that you do not actually have time to write any more books. And that is a mistake. And that has happened probably to everybody here at least once. So know that if that's happening to you, that you're not alone. But that's our primary goal as authors is to write more books. And so we don't want to let the marketing of the books supersede the writing of the books. So that's
She
my
read
one
my
mistake.
mind.
Yeah. And
just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should. There are
Right.
only so many hours in the day, and many of those hours go towards your number one priority.
So,
and
Lisa, what's
number
your
one
tip?
priority.
Yeah. So my tip is even if you do not have any readers, start your newsletter now. Start collecting those email addresses now. There are platforms you can use like MailerLite or MailChimp that are free for your first 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers. I personally like MailerLite only because as you get up in subscribers, when you do have to pay, it's very inexpensive, and it's a super easy platform to use. Like, it's very intuitive.
love MailerLite.
Oh.
I don't like
so that's
algorithms.
right. So that's it. Start that immediately, because if you do nothing else, a newsletter will help you to market your books year after year after year after year. You grow it, your readers get to know you, and you push that magical button and they go out and buy books. And there are lots of strategies as far as using a newsletter, but if you're only going to do one thing, do a newsletter. That's my mistake. Don't do everything like I did.
Yeah.
And my one piece of advice is start your newsletter tonight. Free account on MailerLite right this minute.
Well, it is a little late for some people. Maybe we could let them go till morning.
Okay, fine.
Tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, start your
Sleep
newsletter.
on everything we've said.
Yes.
Then do it first thing tomorrow.
My mistake has to do with consistency, and I'm not talking about like posting consistency. I'm talking about platform consistency. Some people don't have the same name. Like, I am Spaceship 103 on Reddit, and then I'm Goody Two Shoes and Goodreads, and then I am sci-fi author Kenneth Wallace on Instagram, and then I am Kay Wallace on Twitter, and I am this on that platform, and I also have a pen name for this and that, and I'm like, whoa, no. That's a mistake. Separate your personal life from your author life. Trust me, it is beneficial. I was using my actual name and my Facebook platform and my old musician stuff, and I was writing all of a sudden, and then someone came in and said, if you have a pen name, you better create your platform using your pen name, and that's the wisest thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a selected pen name, like I have Cecil Runo, then why are you using your personal whatever to tweet about your writing? Why are you doing that? So that's a mistake, is a not consistency on your name and how people will find you online. And also goes to profile picture and colors and all the things that we discussed, but the name, the handles, the usernames, the links, the Google searches, stick to one. For if you share multiple pen names, that's a different story, but I'm talking for people who just have one name. Please keep the same usernames everywhere. Now, that's my mistake. My tip would be define what you want to do, separate one from the other, and if you can handle 53 pen names, good for you. I can't, but if you can, then just keep those consistent platforms so people don't get confused when they're goose chasing you all over social media and the interwebs.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's a good question.
What do you include in your newsletters? I personally would include basically a journal post covering all the things that I did that month or that quarter, all the videos that I made, any art that I did, any marketing stuff I might have come up with, what my journey is like. And because I know like half of my audience actually is subscribing to me and whatever it is I'm doing. So I talk about all the pies that I have thumbs in, and I am aware of what I'm selling. I am selling myself as a brand, and I have lots of thumbs in lots of pies.
But that's true. Do you want to go next, BC, or do you want me to?
No, go ahead, Lisa. That's fine.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you. All right. So that is one way to approach it. Some people do not like to share a bunch of stuff about themselves. Again, you want to sort of stay true to the right. You want to sort of stay true to the you want to stay true to sort of the brand that you've created. So if your brand is I have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies, then absolutely do that. If your brand is something else, then do that. But I think a lot of times people get really nervous about the idea of doing a newsletter because they don't know what to say in the newsletter. And so it does not have to be a massive, like giant blog post every time you send it out. So when I have a book, I'm talking about like when I have a book coming out, I talk about like, ooh, the book's coming out soon, but that's not the only topic, because you don't want to email your newsletter list only when you have something to sell them, right?
You don't want to be the cover on Instagram like, buy my book. No.
Right, exactly. You want to build a relationship with them. So one of the things that I know about my readers is that they like to read the same kind of books I do. And so I share reviews of books that I have just read. I say, oh, I just read this great Christina Lauren book and it was so funny and I totally related because I love HGTV or whatever it is. And so I'll write a little review. Sometimes I do book giveaways. In fact, I have one that I did just this last week where I did a newsletter swap with another author. I have a book coming out, re-release actually at the end of the year. So she's going to promo my book. I promote hers and said, look, I'm reading this Stevie book this weekend. If you guys want to win it, be sure to let me know. This is one of the ways to make your deliverability go up, is if you ask your reader a question or
and let them answer
let them answer back if they respond back to your email. So I say, if you want to win this, just let me know. I'm not sending it to a robot, or send me a recipe or do this. Last week, one of my readers sent me this recipe for cranberry orange bread, which sounds so delicious. I'm going to make it at Thanksgiving. It was so good. I asked them questions like, you know, who's hotter, this or this. I ask what their favorite. I say I'm going to do a giveaway in a couple of weeks. What book do you guys want to win? And I'll maybe put up 3 of my competitors' books to see what kind of books they're really interested in. And so we always have kind of a conversation going. I usually include some sort of beach-related picture because, again, that's my brand and also my vibe. My dog, Odin, is very popular, and so usually there's a little picture of Odin every week. But right. But it
Odin is gorgeous.
Odin is gorgeous, and he's kind of a little beach doggy. He's addicted to Starbucks, so that's kind of like the pup cup was just whipped cream. So that's kind of like an in joke with my group, and so that's it. So I'm not sharing like a ton of deeply personal stuff, but I'll say I'm working on this new book. I'm really excited about it. It's about this, or hey, I'm writing my first book that's got this, like I'm doing my first enemies to lovers book and I'm super excited about that. Like, what are your favorite books in that, you know, using that trope to I'm just engaging with them like they're friends.
Right.
As far as frequency, probably once a month is kind of the minimum. But again, if you're not like writing a massive blog post, it doesn't have to feel like you just send them a little thing like a postcard, or hey, I just finished this book and I thought of you guys, like it was so funny. And that it can just be a small thing, but you want to make it month. Right. Yeah.
I feel like Marissa Moki is an excellent example of how you can use a newsletter to your advantage.
Oh, yes.
She is concise. It's not necessarily a long email, and she gets her message across very clearly, and she's very reachable. You know, she's very relatable, and she's thinking of her audience when she's putting together her newsletter.
Right.
So I think that's an excellent example. I also want to note that Morgan Hazelwood is an excellent example of a well-branded author that is still querying well-branded and branded well before publication. She's got a YouTube, she's got a blog, she's got a podcast, she's got like a bazillion
is findable.
avenues. She is findable.
And it's because she's very well branded. It's consistent branding, and it's just it's well done. Well done.
And she is one of the first people I think about when it comes to social media marketing. Like
She's here.
and she's here.
Did you
And
see what
she says
wrote?
she says she needs to stop networking and write.
See? Yes.
Yeah,
But-
no,
Good job,
Morgan, I get
Morgan.
it.
Yeah,
I
but
get
as
it.
far as you know, like what you put out in your newsletter, as Lisa was saying, postcard size newsletter is fine. Like little snippets of like little single paragraphs of fun things
Mhm.
and stuff like that is perfectly fine.
That's something
My-
I have to improve.
Yeah, well,
My
we're
newsletters are
writers.
long.
We're writers.
They
We
don't.
like to
They
write.
can't.
Well,
They can be, but that's the thing. They can be long. If that is what's most comfortable for you, that is great. Your people will like. That's how you communicate with them.
but then
For
again,
me-
I just do that once a month, so
Right.
that's like my monthly update. This is everything I did, my writing
Right.
update, my
Right.
reading update, because like one or two books that I want to share with you that are really worth
Right.
sharing. Music update. I
Yeah.
send a video, a YouTube video, like, oh, this song has been like an earworm this entire month, or like for 2 weeks or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's great.
music, and then I do a reflection, like a random thoughts thing. I only share updates when I have them, like a book coming
Yeah.
out or a video that I think would be helpful, things like that. Then I share like social media updates.
Yeah.
But like you decide what you put in your newsletter. Again, look at yourself, look at your brand. You don't have to share a music link if you don't have that kind of thing, but I depend on music for writing.
Right.
And I was a musician. People know this.
well, that's
so
it. That's part of your brand as well.
it is part of who I am. And again, it's audio. It's like what you cannot see. It's
Right.
music. So it's it's part of my brand. It's part of who I am. I guess I could get a connection with some people thanks to the music thingy.
Sure.
So that's why I decided to share that. But you would look, once again, like everything else we've discussed, you do a little bit of soul searching. What do you want to send emails for? Because I feel like a lot of
What are you
a big
selling?
reason why I
Yeah.
didn't have
Yeah.
no, and why like a big reason why a lot of us don't want to do the newsletter thing is because I don't want to spam your email.
Right. Well, the thing is, too,
You know?
what these people have asked to get information from you.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
want, these are your best fans. They came to your website or they read your free newsletter magnet, they read your book, and now they are on your list and they want to hear more from you. And I think that's it. We need to get over this idea that we're imposing on them. They have asked for this. And
They
I think that's
asked for it.
right. I think that's really important to remember. The other thing, and this is like an old marketing trick, you want to teach them to do something. So when you're not asking them to buy a book, you can ask them to do small little things. You can say,
Mhm.
hey, let me, like with the thing I talked about earlier, like, what are you reading right now? So that they're just responding and telling you what they're reading. Or you can say, hey, here's my social media, but I'm mostly over on Instagram. Click here if you want to follow me. So they get used to not just reading your newsletter, but also engaging with it and talking, right? And talking back and forth with you so that they feel like they are connected to you, which is what they want. That's the reason that they're on your newsletter list to begin with. But
And that's why the
right?
social media,
Yeah.
in general.
And that it feels so much more intimate because you're coming into their inbox and they like to hear from you. So as long as you're not spamming them, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, and you're creating a friendship or relationship with them, then it's a much different experience and it doesn't feel so icky.
Yeah, a lot of that just goes back to again, they're your friends. We have this thing about our fans, our readers, but what we actually should just be calling them straight up are our friends. Now,
Mhm.
are they intimately our friends like some of our friends are? No, they're not. But when we think about that, we really don't have that many. Most people don't really have that many intimate friends that they share lots of aspects with. But
Right.
our readers are absolutely our friends, and we should be inviting them to have a conversation. You don't just call up your friend to just vent about your day and dump your day on them or your month or whatever, and then go, okay, call you next month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you absolutely ask them for their opinions on things and share
Mhm.
things, and you get as much as you give. Actually,
You
you should be
do.
getting back more than what you're actually giving. They should be asking for more
Well,
connection with you, and then that way you don't feel like you are actually spamming at that point.
right.
Because you're
Right. When they're
not.
thanking you for
Yeah, they're
sending it.
thanking you, and then also saying, I want more.
Yeah. I will say that one of the things that is, I think, really important with a newsletter is, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Holy crap, it just went away.
Oh
Working
I hate
memory
when
is
that
at
happens.
max.
Oh my gosh, what was I just going to say? You guys go on, but if I raise my hand, you'll know I have the thought back, and we
Okay.
better.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. You go. Oh my God. Oh, newsletter people are your inside group. Those are your most dedicated fans, and they get the goods first. You post your new book cover reveal for your newsletter people before anybody else sees it, unless you have Patreon, and then you can do them at the same time.
Yeah,
But
that's what I was gonna say.
That's
Yeah,
a whole
your
different ball of wax.
yeah, your newsletter people are your most dedicated fans, and they get the love first.
Yes, they get
That's it.
exclusives, they get unique content, they get as much as you can put out there that is different, new, and like first dibs kind of a thing. Your patrons, if you have Patreon, you absolutely, you need to make sure, because those people are not only
Right.
engaging with you, they are paying for the
Right.
exclusivity of that content and things of that nature. So, I mean, you kind of treat them a bit the same way, though, of making sure that, again, they're handled as a friendship, and that they're handled as as something that you can do. And yes, Sam, exactly, they love you enough to open that email and not delete it absent-mindedly.
That's right.
But Mama Ward was actually saying, Maggie was actually saying that sometimes with things change a little bit. With 2020, there were a lot more emails that people started getting, because that's how you had to reach out. And so some people are people backing off of them a little bit. Some people are, yes, but no more so than people that were already needed audio content or visual content, because they were too busy to sit down and read something. They had to be able to multitask while they consumed the information, which
Right.
it's perfectly fine to diversify how you do things. If you send out if your newsletter is not a written newsletter and it is a short video vlog that
Sure.
you send out, do it.
Yeah, that's great.
If it is a restricted podcast link where you're just talking with them, do it.
Yeah.
However your
Oh.
audience needs to be. Oh, there we go, doll. You're
Doll's
like,
like,
ha, ha,
"Cha-ching,
ha,
cha-ching."
ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
But however your audience needs to consume that information, do it.
Yeah. I think that is I think that's such those are such good points. And there are a million ways to do it. You don't have to do it the way I do it, or the way Doll does it, or the way Sako does it, or the way BC does it. You can do it in the way that is going to like connect with your audience, but also like that feels the most like you, that feels like the thing that you're comfortable with doing.
Yeah,
So
for instance, Mama Ward has shifted from doing the email thing and doing the blog thing to consuming it via her vlogs,
Yeah.
right? I think making yourself available on multiple places that you call home,
Right.
right, is like integral. Like I get a lot of my work from Facebook.
Yeah.
I would love to leave Facebook, but there's a
But
lot
that's
of
where your work is.
that's where my work is.
Yeah.
Right?
I am realizing that my audience might be more on Facebook than I thought, because once again I write for adult audiences, and the people who have connected with me through AuthorTube are 40 and up.
Yeah, that's where
And,
they are.
Yeah, that's where they Facebook then, or
Yeah.
sometimes Instagram if they're
Instagram,
business
Sometimes
owners.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, those are the things where I have to focus more on, and slowly coming back to YouTube, because this is another thing that I want to mention. Like, some content takes a lot longer to produce,
Mhm.
and like Lisa said, you can sometimes get sidetracked making all those videos and podcasts and editing, and instead of working on your books. And this is one of the reasons why I left. I mean, I published a couple of short stories in 2020, but nothing got done. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, you know what, 2021 is the year when I'm going to sit and learn actual writing craft, because I need to make some improvements of my writing, so then my editing and revising process can be more efficient. Like,
Mhm.
if you feel like your writing is slacking a little bit because you don't know this or that about story structure or quality of craft, I mean, if you don't care about those things and your readers don't care, that's fine. You don't have to. But again, I write for adult people, avid
Right.
readers, people who are very cerebral. I'm like, I have to improve. I have to do things. So I took time off YouTube, because for a blind person like me, making videos is like, no, thank you. I will still make them. I'm coming back, but it's not going to be a weekly schedule uploading things. I have to write.
Right.
So I'm gonna be
Right.
more sporadic with my video content, but I will come back and have it for people who follow me on YouTube. So I'm not abandoning them 100%. And I want to talk a little bit about YouTube for people who have more than 500 subscribers, or reaching the 500 subscriber threshold. Now you have a community tab access. So
Mhm.
those could be short updates in between your sporadic video uploads if you decide to go the route I'm taking. So it's not so silent anymore between you and your YouTube audience.
Right.
So,
Well, and there is something to be said for, and I recommend this all the time, is recycle, recycle, recycle when it comes to your
repurpose content.
Repurpose
Repurpose your
content.
content.
Yeah.
As much as you
Yeah.
can.
If you post, yeah, if you're posting a review of a book and it's included in your newsletter, you should also post that on BookBub. You should also post that on Facebook. You should also post that on, on Instagram or wherever else. You can take that same paragraph of writing and use it 7 different places. And if you're doing what Dahl has recommended, which is scheduling your content for a lot of those social media platforms using a tool like Buffer or Later, you can do it all in a day and
For
make
people
that.
who want free scheduling apps, Facebook Creator Studio, because Later and Buffer are limited, and you cannot post carousels, and sometimes in the free versions you're going to post video. So if you want something free and limitless, that's why I told you to check my video. Facebook Creator Studio is totally free. You can schedule everything ahead of time, and you can schedule it to both Instagram and Facebook. So you're killing 2 birds with one stone.
That is
Yeah.
always a helpful thing for sure.
Yeah, so schedule ahead of time. It will help you. Trust me.
And just make that content, if you are going to write something extra for your fan base, or for your brand, use that over and over and over again in a variety of places, so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel every day 17 times a day.
Yeah, and there's nothing, and you absolutely should consider, if you wrote something exclusively for your newsletter, for instance, that, say just before you would put out to Patreon, because again, they paid for that, so they should probably get it just a hair sooner. Just a hair sooner, but then goes out to your newsletter, and then next month recycle it and send it out to others. Like,
absolutely.
And you've already got the exclusivity out of the way of it. You don't have to come up with something totally new to put out there. You can repurpose the old stuff and put it back out there again.
Right. Absolutely.
I wanted to bring attention to the concept that sometimes people binge when it comes to reading. books, when it
Mhm.
comes to reading emails, when it comes to watching TV shows, when it comes to consuming content of any kind. Sometimes I learned this as a graphic novelist, right? Where they'll wait like a month or a season and then they will just binge the whole thing. So learning how people consume my art will change how I market my content in the future.
Mhm.
Where I will do it in chunks, in like chapter doses, instead of one page every week, right? It's
Precisely.
because I pay attention to how my audience takes in my content. I think Morgan makes an excellent point regarding her father,
Mhm.
who won't use an RSS feed or
Mhm.
check YouTube. So, like, she diversifies, but and that dilutes you a little bit, right? When you spread a little wider than you would like, but
Mhm.
she is more accessible, and not just for her father, but for her wide audience already. And she hasn't, like, published. She hasn't been published yet. Like,
Mhm.
these are people who are on her every word, about craft, about marketing, about all the panels that she has ever attended,
Which
right?
there are a lot.
Which there are a lot.
You exhaust me,
Um,
Morgan. But I love it.
I love it. I love it.
But
Well,
yeah, no.
and she. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, as far as how individuals binge and consume content, I am a binger. As far as my content, as I was saying to Mint Ghost, I literally open. I pick one day out of every month. I schedule it. I put it in my Bujo. I pick one day out of every month that I open, because all the emails, they just get filtered. They go right into a folder that is a newsletter folder. I open them all on the same day. I pick what I'm doing that day. I usually cuddle up with a a blanket and a cat and some matcha and just read through them all. And then I respond to them if I need to respond to them. I do all of that stuff. And I can probably do that and get through what I am subscribed to in about, I don't know, half a day. Like a good, like
Mhm.
a 3 or 4 hour chunk of time, whatever. At the same time, I might be binging and listening to some podcasts that I've
Mhm.
stored up a month's worth of podcasts. And then, on a different day, I will go through and I can't tell you how many times I've just had a playlist for a day that is all of Lisa's videos for the last month,
Aw.
all of
Aw.
Michelle's videos for the last month. I
Nice.
kind of I set it out based on the streams that the people that co-host together frequently, and I'll just put them through, and I'll just be like, okay, it's all of Lisa's, it's all of
Thank
Michelle's,
you.
it's all of Robert's, it's all of Sako's, it's all of Caro's if she's back to making them, and I just play it
Mhm.
through a day, and it's my entire day. I do nothing else that day
Right.
except for that.
I do the watch later playlist on YouTube, and I watched
Mhm.
it every Sunday evening, and that's when I'm going to
Right.
consume YouTube, because if I don't do that, once
Right.
again I'm going to follow in the rabbit hole of consuming everybody else's videos instead of writing my stories. So
Right.
I scheduled also a date for consumption of YouTube, so I also don't take away my reading time, because reading is
Right.
just as important as writing for me.
Oh
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I prioritize reading over consuming other forms of content. I'm sorry, but I am like this. I'm sorry, but then this way I can also consume the content without taking time away in mindless rabbit holes of social media that are not benefiting neither my reading nor my writing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I
And I
wanted.
do the same thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa. I
Oh
do
no
the
no,
same
you're
thing with
okay.
my reading. I pick a week. If I can't get everything that I wanted to read done in the week, it waits till the next month for my next week. I do that because I also have a life and a partner that I have to balance too, and I have to
Right.
spend time with them. So yeah, no, Lisa, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was literally just gonna say, yay for Cora at her corner. She said she finally figured out how to get her newsletter set up.
Oh,
Yay!
yay!
We
Okay,
celebrate those. We celebrate those achievements on
That's right.
streams.
That's right.
We do.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
Love it.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I just come on. Da-da-da-da.
Da-da-da.
So what we covered today, these are marketing fundamentals that happen with your marketing plan. Is your media kit, which
So important.
You want me to talk about that?
could you?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Okay, so just so you know, I was director of publicity for a mid-sized publisher, and I have done more than 3,000 interviews on my own. And I was in the media have been in the media for like more than 15 years, right? On a national television show. And I'm also the go-to gating guru on Talk Sport in the UK, which is weird. I have no idea how I ended up getting that gig, but I love those guys.
That's awesome.
Anyway, okay, so here's the deal. I often see this. It is my biggest pet peeve. I often see people who don't know what they're talking about telling you all the crap that they think you need in a media kit, and they don't really know what you do need. So here's what you need, right? It can be digital. You do not need a paper folder anymore because it's not 1986. So on your website, you need a media area. You should have a picture of yourself that you own the rights to, that the media can download if they need to. You should have a good sized book cover, so a high res book cover that they can download if they need to. You have to have a bio. So who you are, short, not where you went to college or every place you ever worked, only if it's relevant to your writing. And you should also have something that is sometimes called a sell sheet, sometimes called a general release. If you're specifically, whatever your last book was about, where you talk about, if it's fiction, it's sort of the basic plot of the book. It's got your bio. It's got things like the ISBN number, if that's thing, how much it costs, what the date was that it came out. And if you have done other media, so if you've been on your local news, or you have, been on a podcast that's popular, or you've been on a YouTube channel, you have a YouTube channel, you should include links for those as well, so that if I'm a producer who wants to book you on my show, I can look at your film really fast and see that you are going to be good on camera, and then I'm not booking a dud. And that is really what you need. So some proof if you have it. It's okay if you don't, but some proof if you have it, that you can handle yourself when someone's asking you questions, and that you can speak intelligently about it. Sort of basic information about your book. If you have any blurbs, so if you got reviews for the book that are positive and from other, media outlets, or even, small outlets, a few of those, and that's all you need. You do not need a whole bunch of other stuff. If you're really pitching the media and you're trying to, you're actively trying to promote a book, so before a launch, you can have a variety of different pitching angles, but that's a whole other ball of wax. I literally just finished and put up for pre-order a book about this. It's called Become a Famous Romance Author. It is not up on pre-order yet because I literally pushed the button tonight. Can I share my screen for a second? I'll show you the title.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, hold on. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, is it going to show me?
So this was a marketing, not fail on Lisa's part, but a marketing not like the tumblers didn't click and didn't think ahead. Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah,
Become a famous romance author.
That is exactly it. because if I were thinking ahead, as BC said, I would have already had this pre-order up before I came to do a 2-hour marketing panel. So yes, hashtag marketing fail. That is
fail.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fail.
Learning experience.
Yes, okay.
just a reminder. You just needed a reminder. That's okay.
Right? That's it.
And it's fun. And again, things can slip your mind.
That's true.
I do want to say, if you are interested in what goes into a media kit, a basic media kit for an author, then I have a link to my video on the topic below in the description.
Excellent.
I do recommend giving that a glance, especially if you're releasing a book and you're intending on doing a book tour of any kind, even if that means you're going to jump around to other YouTube channels, or you're going to go to other blogs, or you're going to talk to friends or do bookstores, or whatever you're going to do, you're going to need a media kit. Yeah. So I recommend at least thinking about the things that go into a media kit, if not actually putting one together.
And if you need a little help getting there and figuring out how to write about yourself or how to streamline the information, because let's face it, we can get wordy, reach out. Just reach out to those of us that kind of are in this area that handle this. Some of us are for hire to do that. Some of us are, can give pointers at least. Just be respectful though that we may not have the time necessarily to be able to do more than just give a pointer or two, kind of a thing. But there's nothing wrong with asking, hey, I am really struggling, Lisa, with putting together a media kit, and I put it together, but tell me, am I overdoing it or not doing enough?
Send me a link. I will look at your
same
media
goes
kit.
for people who need ideas and help with the visual branding or just general branding stuff. If you need, apparently I ended up being good at that and I didn't even know. And if you need help with that soul searching and introspection thing, I am an introspective creature. Call me.
You are.
It is amazing how much other people see about you. How
that is
deeply
true.
Other people see you because we have an objectivity and a sense of separateness, that we don't get bogged down in our biases about ourselves, our preconceived notions about ourselves, things like that. Other people see the genuine us more than we do usually.
Well, and there is something too about what's missing. A lot of times, because all of you think you're communicating something, but you're missing a piece of that. Whereas if you just have some outside eyeballs look at it, they'll go, well, I don't quite get this. Where it seems perfectly clear to you, you're like, we're like, hey, you're jumping from A to Q here, and we need some stuff in the middle. And sometimes just any outside eyeballs, can help you with
absolutely.
That kind of thing.
And I think this team as a whole is definitely willing to, if you are willing to reach out and be like, I need more specifics about X, Y, or Z, we are
Mint
happy
Ghost.
to.
In the chat. Mint Ghost in the chat. I am also shy and I don't like a picture of myself. I finally got to kind of show myself in a profile picture. But I get you. And if you want to discuss that further on for possible solutions, please contact me. I am also very not showy face. I don't do that. So please contact me if you need help.
Yeah, it uses an avatar. It's amazing. It's identifiable. People know her by it. Sako draws people.
Yeah,
I do.
Some commissioned art of yourself. Do
you don't
need to do.
Right, and if you're not willing to show your to show your face in a picture, a bio picture, then you're probably not pitching television anyway, so it's not going to matter. So right. So if you don't want to do that, and I actually had a client years ago who did not want to go on television she did not like. She didn't want any sort of media where she would be seen, and it was the first time I'd ever worked with anyone like that. But we did like a radio podcast campaign for her that was really, really effective and successful for her. But it was like a challenge for me to think like, okay, we're like going to eliminate all of this visual media. So absolutely, if you do not feel comfortable with that. And I always think if any of you are rom-com fans, there's an author named Sophie Kinsella who wrote the Shopaholics series, right? And her bio picture for years was the back of a woman carrying a bunch of shopping bags.
Yep.
You never saw her face, but it was so on brand. And I believe now that it actually was her, because now she does show her face. But at the time, it could have been anybody. It could have been a stock photo. And so that, is really effective for her. So yeah, if you're not going to be pitching visual media like television or like a YouTube channel where you would have to show your face, then having a picture of yourself doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a good friend. She's a writer. She's a well-known writer. She has a pen name and everything. But even though she does on-camera interviews and things of that nature, it's a stipulation that she is only shown from the nose down.
Love that. But that's like such a kind of a great like branding thing too. Like it's sort of funny. Somebody had posted about being concerned about not having professional photos. I will tell you just a good photo of you, whether you're, first of all, a lot of author photos are in fact taken by girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, partners, random people on the street. Yeah. And I have professional photos, but for my last book, the publicist at St. Martin's had, so for my last novel, the publicist at St. Martin's had been sort of combing through my social media, and she wanted to use a picture on the back of the book that was one that like my niece and I took just joking around. She had gotten a prom dress that was too big for her in the bust, and so we ordered a second one that would fit her, but we wanted to make sure that we did not send back the first one until we got the second one, because we didn't, we thought, well, we can take it in if it's an emergency. And so we took these goofy pictures of us by the pool wearing these identical prom dresses and big giant turquoise sunglasses, and it was like a really fun day, but it was not a professional photo shoot by any stretch of the imagination. And yet that's the picture they wanted to use, and it ran all over the place, and it was just taken with a phone. So yeah, it does not have to be professional.
I have an awesome picture I used for a long time that was taken with a really old cell phone. I mean, I'm talking it flipped, all sorts of stuff. Old cell phone of me goofing around, pretending to play a piano like Transylvania style at like the Children's Museum in St. Louis, that my niece, who was 13 at the time, took on this old cell phone, and it was my professional photo for the longest time. It was quirky, it was slightly weird, it was just me being me, and it was the best photo I had taken like in my life up to that point. And I was just like, I kept asking people, I'm like, are you sure I should use this? I mean, I know it's a good picture, and people were like, yes, you should totally use this. It's you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you want it to be memorable. Right. Yep. That was the exact comment I was just going to bring up. Yes. Yeah. You want to make sure that any photo that you're using is high res enough so that it can be reproduced, so it doesn't get fuzzy if it gets a little bigger. So yeah. Good advice.
Yes, good advice. Whatever that image is, be it an illustration, be it just a logotype, be it like however you are represented on the internet, make it high res enough so that you can make a wallpaper out of it, or they can download it and print it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is strongly recommended.
Quality is important when it comes to images.
Absolutely.
Yes. If you are interested in expanding on any of the things that we talked about today, you can basically like chill out on my channel. I talk about like how to take headshots, how to put together a media kit, what the heck a business plan is, what a series Bible is, etc., etc. Stuff that for marketing and for helping you to write a series or a book in general. I have them all on my channel. I do want to thank you all for joining us today. We are 3 minutes over the mark, which is
Ooh.
fine, but
Which is actually awesome given the fact that so much information.
and
Mhm.
we
was covered.
we glanced over those last 3.
That was just scratching the surface. There's more,
Just
but
scratching the surface.
of course,
I have
there's another
2
chat
hour,
stream soon.
and there's another chat stream soon.
Yes.
So there are 2-hour workshops on each of those topics on my channel, in my live streams, and I have a whole playlist of marketing for authors, and it's not just me talking, it's also people like Lisa Daly and BC Brown and Courtney Project and a whole bunch of other people who have something to say on the topic. And I will let everybody do their outros.
Can
Awesome.
we put Devin's comment up? He's got the link tree to the Writeathon.
Oh, Devin.
Take one.
The 2 playlists are also down in the description. There is a playlist for the chats, and there is a playlist for the sprints, which are going on for the next 72 hours, basically. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Devin.
Take waddle.
Thank you, Devin. You guys are not going to believe this, but my little book went live during the stream. It's live.
Oh dear,
so excited.
it's alive.
It's
Lisa's
Let us-
about to have some sales.
I threw it up in the private chat if you want to post it later.
Yes.
So, yeah, it just went live. It's not searchable yet.
Lisa's book on marketing for romance authors is live and ready to go
And
right
I'm
now.
going to pre-order it in. Boop. Pre-order.
There's gonna be some
Thank you.
pre-orders
Thank you.
happening.
All of the advice is in this particular book, Become a Famous Romance Author, is in fact workable whether you are a romance author or mystery author or whatever. But I wanted to write specifically for that genre because that's what I write in. So
Right.
Gee, you tied it back to your brand?
What? And look what color it is. It's pink. Pink and blue. Yes, I know it's a big shock that I would do that. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys.
All right, let's do those outros now.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. BC.
Okay. Hey, I totally forgot to give myself an intro and just talked about how excited I was to get to wear a costume. So I am BC Brown. My channel is BC Brown Books. I like to get weird about words in the ways that writers do. We write them, we talk about writing them, we also talk about marketing that goes behind writing them, and all of that good stuff. So, I am on the YouTubes, I am on the Twitch, I am pretty much anywhere that you could possibly think of to find me under the name BC Brown Books, because, yeah, I branded. I did that thing. Also, I won't speak for anybody else, but if you are really struggling with doing marketing and branding, reach out to me. Just reach out to me. I do lots of consultations. I do lots of it pro bono and for free, just helping people out and just kind of getting you out of your own head and getting the ball rolling. So feel free to reach out. It really does not matter what medium you use because I answer them all, but it might be a day or two before I get to you if I'm cycling around to networks, okay?
Excellent. Yay.
Great call.
And wow.
Oh yeah, I have to do my thing.
Yeah.
It's late. It's Argentina time. Is 1 hour ahead of Eastern. Sorry. I am Cecil Bruno. I'm a blind storyteller for introspective readers. I write mostly sci-fi, as you can tell by my lovely Jedi costume today. But I also explore other genres with my short stories, and I do a little bit of poetry. My YouTube channel is slowly coming back. I will be uploading videos a little bit more often than the disaster that was 2021. If you need help with discovering yourself, soul searching, and figuring out your brand and who you are as an author, and all the why behind everything you do, and you cannot find it yourself, maybe just talking to me could help you. So don't be afraid to reach out to me. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much for having me on this panel tonight, Sako Tumi. It was super fun, and what a great group. I'm Lisa Daly. I'm a traditionally published author and now an indie author of a brand new book. I'm so excited.
She's a hybrid.
Woohoo! And so over on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. And we often talk about marketing stuff. And every week on Wednesdays, we do a little live stream where we try and write all the words very, very fast from 11 to 1 Eastern. So thank you so much for having me. It was awesome. Great questions tonight, you guys. So thanks so much for being here.
All right, and I am Sako Tumi, also known as Cass Voit. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those three things. If you liked this video at any point, I encourage you to hit the like button, and if you would like to see more talks like this one, I advise that you find the playlist in the description. Also, hit subscribe, maybe even ring that bell on the off chance that you are notified when I post a video. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.